The grand ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria in Manhattan shimmered under the glow of crystal chandeliers, their light refracting across polished marble floors. The air buzzed with the clink of champagne glasses and the low hum of New York's elite exchanging pleasantries. Anna Harper stood at the edge of the crowd, her emerald green dress catching the occasional glance from passers-by. Beside her, James Carter maneuvered his wheelchair with quiet precision, his sharp blue eyes scanning the room with a calm intensity that contrasted with the whispers rippling through the crowd. Anna felt the weight of those stares, the subtle smirks and raised eyebrows directed at her husband. She tightened her grip on the glass of sparkling water in her hand, her knuckles whitening as she overheard a woman in a sequined gown murmur to her companion, "She could have done better than a cripple." Anna's jaw clenched, but she forced a smile, glancing down at James, who seemed unfazed, his lips curved in a faint, knowing smirk. "Ignore them," he said softly, his voice steady but laced with an edge she couldn't quite place. Anna nodded, though her heart pounded with a mix of anger and protectiveness. She had known marrying James would invite scrutiny, but the venom in the room tonight was sharper than she'd expected. It had been 6 months since Anna, a 28-year-old medical intern at Mount Sinai Hospital, had exchanged vows with James in a quiet ceremony at City Hall. They'd met at a charity event for disabled veterans, where James, a guest speaker, had captivated her with his wit and unyielding optimism despite his condition. A car accident 3 years prior had left him paralyzed from the waist down, but his spirit was anything but broken. Anna, drawn to his resilience and quiet strength, had fallen hard. Their courtship was swift, intense, and filled with late-night conversations about her dreams of becoming a neurosurgeon and his cryptic references to a past life in business. When he proposed, she hadn't hesitated, even when her parents warned her about the challenges of marrying a man with such limitations. "Love doesn't care about wheelchairs," she'd told them, her voice firm. But tonight, at this gala, hosted by one of New York's top investment firms, Anna was beginning to feel the sting of society's judgment. Across the room, Michael Reed leaned against a marble pillar, a glass of bourbon in hand. His tailored suit hugged his athletic frame, and his easy grin drew admiring glances from the crowd. Michael had been Anna's college boyfriend, the golden boy of Columbia University's business school, whose charm and ambition had once swept her off her feet. Their breakup 2 years ago had been messy. Michael's infidelity and arrogance had shattered her trust, but seeing him now smirking as he whispered to a group of friends brought back a flood of memories she'd rather forget. Anna Harper slumming it with a charity case, he said loudly enough for her to hear his voice dripping with condescension. The group around him chuckled, and Anna felt her cheeks burn. She wanted to march over and slap the smugness off his face, but James's hand gently touched her wrist. "Don't," he said, his tone calm but firm. "He's not worth it." Anna exhaled sharply, her eyes locking with James's. There was something in his gaze, confidence, maybe even amusement, that steadied her. "You're right," she murmured, forcing herself to relax. "Let's just enjoy the night." But enjoying the night proved difficult. As they moved through the crowd, Anna noticed the way people sidestepped James's wheelchair, their smiles polite but strained. A waiter nearly tripped over the wheel, muttering an apology without meeting James's eyes. At the buffet table, a woman in a fur stole asked Anna, "So how do you manage with, you know?" Her eyes flicked toward James, who was chatting with a businessman nearby. Anna forced a smile. "We manage just fine," she said, her voice tight. The woman raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced, and turned away. Anna felt a surge of frustration. Why did everyone assume their marriage was a burden? She glanced at James, who was now laughing at something the businessman said, his charisma drawing others in despite their initial hesitation. Anna admired that about him, his ability to disarm people to make them forget the wheelchair. But tonight, it wasn't enough to shield them from the undercurrent of disdain. The evening took a turn when Michael approached his bourbon glass, now empty, and his confidence emboldened by liquid courage. "Anna, you look stunning," he said, ignoring James entirely. "What's it like playing nurse to your husband?" The word dripped with mockery, and Anna felt her blood boil. Before she could respond, James wheeled closer, his voice cutting through the tension. "It's called Love Michael. You might try it sometime." The crowd nearby fell silent, and Michael's smile faltered for a moment before he recovered. "Love, huh? Guess it's easy when you're desperate." A few gasps escaped the onlookers, and Anna stepped forward, her voice low and fierce. "You don't get to talk about my husband like that. You don't know him." Michael chuckled, raising his hands in mock surrender. All right. Just saying, Anna, you used to have higher standards." He sauntered off, leaving Anna trembling with rage. James reached for her hand, his touch grounding her. "He's trying to get under your skin," he said quietly. "Don't let him." Anna nodded, but the encounter left a bitter taste. She excused herself to the restroom, needing a moment to compose herself. In the quiet of the marble-tiled bathroom, she splashed cold water on her face, staring at her reflection. She loved James, but moments like this made her wonder if she was strong enough to face the world's judgment day after day. Her phone buzzed a text from her mother. "Are you sure about this life, Anna? You're young. You have options." Anna sighed, pocketing the phone without replying. Her parents had never approved of James calling him a charity case and urging her to think about her future. But her future was with him, wasn't it? Back in the ballroom, Anna found James near the bar, engaged in a heated discussion with a man in a pinstripe suit. "The market's volatile, Carter," the man was saying, his tone skeptical. "You really think your tech startup idea has legs?" James's smile was sharp. "It's not about legs, Tom. It's about vision." The man laughed, but there was a hint of respect in it. Anna raised an eyebrow, intrigued. James rarely talked about his work, always deflecting when she asked about his past. He'd mentioned consulting for tech firms, but the way this man spoke to him suggested something more substantial. Before she could join them, a commotion at the entrance drew her attention. A security guard was arguing with a young couple trying to enter without an invitation. "Please, wait," aside. The guard said sternly, "You're in the way." Anna recognized the couple as friends of Michael's, likely trying to crash the event. She shook her head, amused, despite herself. The gala was a magnet for opportunists. As the night wore on, Anna and James decided to leave early, the weight of the evening's slights pressing on them. In the elevator, Anna leaned against the wall, exhausted. "I'm sorry about Michael," she said. James shrugged, his expression unreadable. "He's irrelevant." "You okay?" Anna nodded, but her mind was racing. She thought back to the charity event where they'd met, how James had spoken passionately about accessibility and technology, his ideas sparking something in her. She'd been drawn to his mind, his heart, not his wheelchair. But tonight, the world seemed determined to remind her of it. As they reached the lobby, a man in a chauffeur's uniform approached. "Mr. Carter, the car's ready," he said, his tone deferential. Anna blinked, surprised. They'd taken a cab to the gala, hadn't they? James caught her look and grinned. "Borrowed a friend's driver," he said casually. "Thought we'd leave in style." Anna laughed, the tension easing slightly. But as they drove through Manhattan's glittering streets, she couldn't shake the feeling that James was holding something back. Back at their modest Brooklyn apartment, Anna helped James out of his suit jacket, their routine familiar, and intimate. "You handled tonight like a pro," she said, kissing his forehead. He caught her hand, his grip firm. "So did you. Don't let them make you doubt us." Anna nodded, but as she lay in bed later staring at the ceiling, Michael's words echoed in her mind. "You used to have higher standards." She turned to look at James already asleep, his face peaceful. She loved him, but the weight of the world's judgment was heavier than she'd expected. And then there was that fleeting moment at the gala, when James had spoken to the businessman with such authority. Who was he? Really, Anna pushed the thought away, closing her eyes. Tomorrow was another day, another chance to prove them all wrong. But the next morning brought a new challenge. As Anna prepared for her shift at the hospital, James received a call that made his face darken. "I'll handle it," he said curtly, wheeling into the next room. Anna frowned, catching fragments of the conversation, something about a board meeting and hostile takeover. She wanted to ask, but her shift was starting and she was already running late. At the hospital, she threw herself into her work, assisting in a routine surgery and studying for her upcoming neurosurgery exam. But during a break, she overheard two colleagues gossiping. "Did you see Anna's husband at the gala?" one said. "Nice guy, but a wheelchair. She's got her whole career ahead of her." Anna's stomach twisted. She stepped away, pretending not to hear, but the words lingered. That evening, as she returned home, she found James on the phone again, his voice sharp. "Tell them the deal's off if they don't meet my terms," he said, hanging up as she entered. "Everything okay?" she asked, setting down her bag. James nodded, but his smile was tight. "Just work stuff. How was your day?" Anna hesitated, then decided not to mention the gossip. "Long," she said, sitting beside him. "But I aced a mock surgery today." James's face lit up, genuine pride in his eyes. "That's my girl. You're going to be the best neurosurgeon this city's ever seen." Anna laughed, but her heart wasn't fully in it. She wanted to ask about his call, about the chauffeur, about the man at the gala, who'd spoken to him like an equal. But before she could, James wheeled closer, pulling her into a kiss that silenced her doubts, at least for the moment. As they settled in for the night, Anna's phone buzzed with another text from her mother. "Think about your future, Anna. You deserve more." She deleted it, her resolve hardening. She didn't need more. She had James. But as she drifted to sleep, a nagging question lingered. Why did James seem so comfortable in a world that treated him like an outsider? And what was he hiding behind that calm, confident smile? Anna Harper sat in the sterile lecture hall of Columbia University's medical school, her notebook open, but her mind elsewhere. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, and the professor's voice droned on about neural pathways, but Anna's thoughts kept drifting to the gala 2 weeks ago. The sting of Michael Reed's words, slumming it with a charity case, still lingered, as did the cryptic phone calls James Carter had been taking lately. She glanced at her left hand, where a simple gold band gleamed, a reminder of her commitment to James, the man the world saw as lesser because of his wheelchair. Anna clenched her pen, her resolve hardening. She wasn't here to dwell on gossip. She was here to become a neurosurgeon, to prove she could rise above the noise. But as she tried to focus, a dull ache in her right hand made her wince. It was an old injury from a high school volleyball accident, long healed, or so she'd thought. Lately, the pain had returned, subtle but persistent, especially when she practiced surgical techniques. She shook it off, scribbling a note about synaptic pruning. But the fear gnawed at her. What if her hand couldn't handle the precision required for neurosurgery? Back at their Brooklyn apartment, James was hunched over his laptop, his brow furrowed as he typed rapidly. The screen glowed with spreadsheets and stock charts, a world Anna rarely saw. He'd always been vague about his work, calling it consulting for tech firms, but the intensity in his eyes suggested something bigger. "Everything okay?" Anna asked, dropping her bag by the door. James closed the laptop with a snap, his smile quick but strained. "Just tying up loose ends," he said, wheeling toward her. "How was class?" Anna hesitated, the ache in her hand flaring as she flexed her fingers. "Fine," she lied, not wanting to burden him. James studied her for a moment, his gaze piercing, but he didn't press. Instead, he gestured to a steaming pot on the stove. "Made your favorite chicken noodle soup. Figured you'd need it after a long day." Anna's heart softened. Despite the whispers and doubts, James always found ways to ground her. She kissed his cheek, murmuring, "You're too good to me." But the calm didn't last. The next day at Mount Sinai Hospital, Anna was practicing sutures in the skills lab when the pain in her hand spiked, causing her to drop the needle. Her mentor, Dr. Patel, frowned. "You okay, Harper? That's not like you." Anna forced a smile, muttering an excuse about being tired, but Dr. Patel's skeptical look stayed with her. Later in the break room, she overheard two residents gossiping. "Heard Anna's husband is some kind of recluse," one said. "Bet she's only with him for the sympathy points." Anna's blood boiled, but she kept silent, her hand throbbing as she gripped her coffee mug. She couldn't afford to let rumors distract her, not when she was so close to applying for a prestigious neurosurgery research program led by Dr. David Moore, a legend in the field. But the pain in her hand was becoming impossible to ignore, and the fear that it could derail her dreams was growing. That evening, Anna returned home to find James on the phone again, his voice low and clipped. "Tell them the merger's off if they don't agree." "By Friday," he said, hanging up as she entered. Anna raised an eyebrow. "Merger? Since when do consultants handle mergers?" James chuckled, but it sounded forced. "Just helping a friend with a deal." "How's the hospital?" Anna hesitated, then decided to be honest. "My hand's been acting up," she admitted, flexing her fingers. "It's probably nothing, but I'm worried it'll mess with my surgical training." James's expression softened, and he wheeled closer, taking her hand gently. "You need to see a specialist. I know someone, Dr. Ellis, top neurologist." "I'll set it up." Anna blinked, surprised by his quick response. "How do you know a neurologist?" James shrugged, his smile cryptic. "I get around." Anna wanted to push, but his warmth disarmed her, and she let it go. The next week, Anna met Dr. Ellis at a sleek private clinic in Manhattan. The diagnosis was grim nerve damage from her old injury, likely exacerbated by stress and repetitive motion. "Surgery's an option, but it's risky," Dr. Ellis said. "And even then, you might not regain the dexterity needed for neurosurgery." Anna's stomach dropped. She left the clinic in a daze, the city's noise blurring around her. Her dream years of study sacrifice late nights was slipping away. When she got home, James was waiting, his eyes searching her face. "What did he say?" he asked. Anna swallowed hard, tears threatening. "I might not be able to operate. Ever." James pulled her into his arms, his grip steady. "You're more than a scalpel, Anna. You're brilliant. We'll figure this out." His words were a lifeline, but doubt lingered. How could she be a neurosurgeon if she couldn't trust her hands? Meanwhile, Michael Reed was stirring trouble. At a networking event for young professionals, he cornered Anna, his smirk as infuriating as ever. "Heard about your hand," he said, feigning concern. "Tough break. Guess you'll have to lean on your husband now." "What's he do anyway?" "Sit around all day." Anna's fists clenched, the pain in her hand flaring. "He's more of a man than you'll ever be," she snapped. Michael laughed, undeterred. "Come on, Anna. You're wasting your potential. Ditch the dead weight and come back to me. I'm VP at Goldman. Now think of the life we could have." Anna walked away, her heart pounding. She hated how Michael's words echoed her own fears that she was sacrificing her future for a marriage the world didn't understand. Back home, Anna found a letter from Columbia's medical school, an invitation to interview for Dr. Moore's research program. Her heart leapt, but the excitement was tempered by dread. The program required surgical precision, something she might never achieve. She showed the letter to James, expecting him to share her excitement, but his reaction was oddly subdued. "That's amazing, Anna," he said, but his eyes were distant. "What's wrong?" she asked. James hesitated, then sighed. "Just work stuff. Nothing you need to worry about." Anna frowned, sensing the wall he was putting up. "James, you're always dodging. What do you actually do?" He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I told you consulting. It's boring. Focus on your interview." Anna let it drop, but the secrecy gnawed at her. The day of the interview arrived, and Anna stood outside Dr. Moore's office, her palms sweaty. She'd prepared relentlessly, but the pain in her hand was a constant reminder of her limitations. Inside, Dr. Moore was imposing his gray hair and piercing gaze. Intimidating. "Ms. Harper, your academic record is stellar," he said, flipping through her file. "But I've heard concerns about your hand. Can you handle the demands of this program?" Anna's throat tightened. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed a text from an unknown number. "Check your email. You're welcome." Confused, she excused herself to check her phone. An email from an anonymous sender contained a doctored photo of her and Michael at a college party captioned "Anna Harper, more party girl than surgeon." Her blood ran cold. Michael was trying to sabotage her. Anna returned to the interview, her composure shaken. Dr. Moore raised an eyebrow. "Everything all right?" She nodded, forcing a smile. "Just a prank. I'm ready to discuss the program." She powered through answering questions with precision, but the damage was done. As she left, Dr. Moore's parting words were kind but vague. "We'll be in touch." Anna walked out into the crisp New York air, tears stinging her eyes. Michael's cruelty was one thing, but the possibility of losing her dream was another. She called James, needing his voice, but he didn't answer. Instead, she got a text. "In a meeting. You okay?" Frustrated, she headed home, the weight of the day pressing on her. When she walked into the apartment, James was on the phone again, his tone sharp. "I don't care what the board says. Buy the shares before the market closes." He hung up, turning to Anna with a forced smile. "How'd it go?" Anna shook her head, collapsing onto the couch. Michael sent a fake photo to Dr. Moore. "I might have blown it." James's jaw tightened, a flash of anger in his eyes. "He's a coward," he said. "I'll handle it." Anna frowned. Handle it how James waved it off. "Don't worry. I've got a friend who can dig into Michael's dirty laundry." "Focus on you." Anna wanted to believe him, but the secrecy was starting to wear on her. "James, what's going on with you? You're always on calls, dodging questions. I need to know who I'm married to." James sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Anna, I'm just trying to keep things stable for us. My work, it's complicated, but I'm here for you, always." His sincerity softened her, but the doubts lingered. That night, as they ate dinner in silence, Anna's phone buzzed with an email from Dr. Moore. "Schedule a follow-up interview. We're impressed with your resilience." Anna gasped, showing James the screen. He grinned, pulling her into a hug. "Told you you're unstoppable." But as she hugged him back, Anna couldn't shake the feeling that James was hiding something big, something that could change everything. The next morning, Anna woke to find James gone a note on the counter. Early meeting. Back soon. Love you. She sighed, her hand aching as she made coffee. As she sipped it, her phone rang an unknown number. Ms. Harper, a man's voice said. This is Dr. Moore's assistant. He'd like to meet you today. And someone named James Carter arranged it. Said he's a friend of the dean. Anna froze her coffee mug, trembling in her hand. James, a friend of the dean. Her mind raced, piecing together the chauffeur, the phone calls, the businessman at the gala. Who was her husband really? And why was he keeping her in the dark? Anna Harper stood in the bustling atrium of Columbia University's medical school, her heart pounding as she clutched the acceptance letter from Dr. David Moore's neurosurgery research program. The words, "Congratulations, Ms. Harper," were a lifeline, a validation of her relentless effort despite the nerve damage threatening her surgical dreams. But the joy was tempered by a gnawing uncertainty about James Carter. Her husband, whose cryptic phone calls and mysterious connections had begun to unravel. Last week's revelation that James had pulled strings with the dean to secure her follow-up interview had left her reeling. Was he just a consultant, as he claimed, or something more? As she navigated the crowded New York streets toward their Brooklyn apartment, Anna's mind churned. She loved James' wheelchair or not, but his secrecy was eroding her trust. And now a new dilemma loomed. James had been offered a cutting-edge rehabilitation program in Boston, one that could potentially restore some mobility. He wanted her to come with him, but it meant pausing her research program just as it was beginning. The choice felt impossible: her career or her marriage. Back at the apartment, James was waiting, his wheelchair positioned by the window overlooking the city's twinkling skyline. His blue eyes, usually so steady, held a flicker of vulnerability. "You got the letter," he said, nodding at the envelope in her hand. Anna smiled faintly, setting it on the counter. "Yeah, I'm in. But, James, we need to talk." She sat across from him, her hands clasped tightly to hide their trembling. "You knew the dean. You arranged my interview. What else are you hiding?" James sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. For a moment, he looked like he might deflect, but then his shoulders slumped. "All right, Anna. No more half-truths." He wheeled closer, his voice low. "I'm not just a consultant. I'm the CEO of Carter Tech, a cybersecurity firm. Before the accident, I was, well, kind of a big deal. After I stepped back, let my team run things, but I'm still calling the shots behind the scenes." Anna's breath caught. Carter Tech was a household name, its software powering half the Fortune 500. "You're a billionaire?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. James nodded, his expression wary. "I didn't tell you because I wanted you to love me. For me, not the money. The wheelchair already makes people see me differently. I couldn't risk you thinking I was buying your affection." Anna's mind raced, piecing together the chauffeur, the business calls, the confidence he exuded at the gala, despite the sneers. It all made sense now, but the revelation stung. "You lied to me, James. We're married. How could you keep this from me?" James reached for her hand, but she pulled back. "I was protecting you," he said. "From what?" "The truth." Anna stood pacing the small living room. "I've been defending you, fighting for us, while you've been playing some secret tycoon game. Do you know how that feels?" Before James could respond, Anna's phone buzzed. It was Michael Reed, her ex, whose relentless taunts had haunted her since the gala. "Heard you're moving to Boston with your cripple," his text read. "Guess you're giving up on being a surgeon." Pathetic. Anna's blood boiled. Michael had been spreading lies about her sabotaging her interview with fake photos, and now this. She showed James the text, expecting him to be as furious as she was. Instead, his jaw tightened and he grabbed his phone. "I told you I'd handle him," he said, dialing a number. "Who are you calling?" Anna asked, but James held up a hand. "Tom, it's me," he said into the phone. "Leak the file on Reed. The offshore accounts, the insider trading. All of it. I want it on every financial blog by morning." He hung up, meeting Anna's stunned gaze. "Michael's been playing dirty for years," he said. "I had my team dig into him after he targeted you. He's done." Anna stared, torn between awe and unease. This was the power James wielded, a power he'd hidden from her. "You can't just destroy someone," she said, her voice shaking. James's eyes softened. "I'm protecting you, Anna, like I always will." But his words didn't comfort her. They made her feel like a pawn in a game she didn't understand. That night, she lay awake, the acceptance letter on her nightstand, James's steady breathing beside her. Boston or New York? Her dream or her husband? The choice loomed larger than ever. The next day, Anna met with Dr. Moore to discuss her research role. His office was lined with medical texts, a stark reminder of the world she'd fought to enter. "You'll be focusing on non-surgical research," he said, his tone kind but firm. "Given your hand, it's the best path." Anna nodded, swallowing her disappointment. She could still contribute to neurosurgery, studying brain mapping, developing new therapies, but the dream of wielding a scalpel was fading. As she left, her phone rang. It was James. "I'm heading to Boston tomorrow for a consult," he said. "Come with me, Anna, just for a few days. We'll figure out the rest together." Anna hesitated, her heart torn. "I need time," she said, hanging up. She wandered Central Park, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot, grappling with her future. James's wealth could open doors, but it also complicated everything. Did she love him for him, or had his hidden power influenced her feelings? That evening, Anna attended a charity event at the Met, a last-minute obligation for the hospital. James was there, his presence commanding despite the wheelchair. But so was Michael, his face pale as he whispered to a group of investors. The news had broken. Articles exposing his financial misdeeds were trending online. He approached Anna, his eyes blazing. "You and your husband think you're clever, huh, ruining me?" Anna stood her ground. "You ruined yourself, Michael. Leave us alone." The crowd parted as James wheeled over, his voice calm but steely. "Walk away, Reed. You're done here." Michael glared, but backed off, the weight of his downfall evident in his slumped shoulders. Anna felt a surge of pride in James, but also a flicker of fear. His power was a double-edged sword. Later, at the event's silent auction, Anna overheard a woman sneer, "Carter's wife is just a gold digger." Anna's patience snapped. She stepped onto the stage, grabbing the microphone. "I'm Anna Harper," she said, her voice steady, despite the hundreds of eyes on her. "My husband, James Carter, is the strongest man I know. He's built an empire, yes, but he's also built a life with me, despite people like you who see only his wheelchair. Judge us if you want, but our love is real." The room fell silent, then erupted in applause. James, at the edge of the stage, looked at her with unfiltered admiration. Anna stepped down, her heart racing, and James lay her system. Today's date and time is 06:24 p.m. plus 07 on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025.